Hey, we're live. Hurrah. Another week. Another week's passed. I thought I'd bring along another lovely fold. Hello, Kay. I can see that you're there. Thank you for joining us. So the very centre of it, it's called a blossom heart. The centre of it is the traditional chrysanthemum, which is a beautiful fold. And then around the outside, it's a heart. So it may be Stephen may be able to correct me because I don't always know where these come from. I tend to learn myself through YouTube, and it's quite rare actually that they credit people. So Stephen, if you do know who's designed this, I'd be very grateful if you could let me know. Actually, sorry, I just heard someone at the door. I'm going to be just a second. I will be back. Can you grab the door, honey? Gosh. Sorry about that. Heard someone banging on the door. It's quite rare, isn't it, to have anybody come along? So I'm going to guide you through how to make one of these lovely hearts. It's quite nice as well because it's got a little bit of a slot there, so you can sort of hang it over things. You could put it up as a decoration. It's quite nice for cards. I thought of this one because it's a nice one. I thought for start of summer. So it's June now, blossom heart. This feels like a really positive thing. So I'm hoping that you'll enjoy this one. So we'll start very soon, but I'm going to wait for just a few minutes because it usually takes people a few minutes to arrive, like most things, hey. So origami, I think it's a beautiful way of focusing the mind. Many of you are doing it already. Some of you have only recently started. And I'm just really delighted that you've been joining me. I hope it's been nice to do something positive and focused, giving yourself a bit of time for a little bit of fun. Doesn't have to have any real reason other than enjoying it. And it's such a lovely, lovely activity with just using a piece of paper. Hello, Natalie. Lovely to have you here as well. I'm just trying to imagine you all because lots of people you've been in touch, and it's really nice to see that you're joining me. It really is lovely to feel that we're here in this moment of time together. And you just, each time I'm inviting you into my home, wherever I am, I tend to put up so many colourful things. So actually, it's rather nice to show you where I normally reside, and I do surround myself with things that I enjoy making. So it's lovely to share that. In a moment, you'll probably see the painting behind me. I'll move it around actually, which is one of my paintings, which is of blood cells, which is, I'm a scientist originally. And so most of my artwork is in some way about the body and how amazing our bodies are. And actually there's real relevance to the folding because our DNA encodes proteins, long sort of strips of beads, and it's the way that they fold up that make the structures. So even our own body is sort of based on origami. So I do see a lot of parallels. I still feel, I have to say, as if I'm a novice with origami. I am still learning. Hello, Stephen. I'm not sure about the model design. No, that's fine, because I was struggling as to whether I'm showing a model without crediting somebody. I wouldn't ever want to do that. So Stephen, always do say if you kind of spot that I'm showing a model and that if you know who it is, please do say, because I do want to credit. But it looks to me like it's a traditional centre, and I don't know how old the design is to add the heart, but it's a really nice touch. So I hope you're going to enjoy this. Right, I think people are beginning to arrive. Maybe I'll just wait one more minute. Oh, 7 of us. That's good. That's quite a good group, actually. And yeah, I think is this the 10th or 11th fold? I don't know. I'm doing one a week, and I started pretty much from the start. I hadn't ever done anything like this before, so I just thought, I love what I do. I'd normally go one day a week onto the wards and encourage patients and staff to have a go at this as a way of focusing the mind. And I thought, do I give up? No, I don't. So instead, I thought, well, it's possible to do it this way. And actually, it's a way that we can be very close. And I think at the moment, it's otherwise not possible. Social distancing, I can't show you in another way how to do this. So it's actually, I think, quite ideal. It's certainly how I've learned a lot of origami, is watching through a computer, but seeing somebody's hands really helps understand. I also find it really soothing too. It's a lovely thing to watch. So I hope it's lovely that we're going to do this together. So it may be a familiar fold, in which case enjoy that you know what you're doing. If it's something new, enjoy that you're trying something different. And I think it's all about encouraging you to try the unknown and to do that in a really playful, positive way. And I think that's nurturing a side of us that's about persistence and about overcoming challenge and about finding things fun and knowing that you will get it done. It will work out. But it's actually it's the journey of the learning that it's what it's all about. It's not about an end product. And I think origami is rather lovely because for once it's quite clear what you're doing. It's very structured, and I think our lives are a little bit out of our control at the moment. So bringing you something you can be very controlled with, I think is rather nice too. I think we might as well get started because there's 7 of us. So hurrah, let's get going. So I'm going to grab my board. So recommend grabbing something that you can press on. That's always good. I'm going to start, as always, from just a normal piece of paper. Doesn't matter if you're in another area of the world as well that you don't have A4. It doesn't matter. Each time I show you how to make a square. I know some of you have already got square paper, but I think it's good to show you the general principles and to get familiar with that. So here we go. Keen to make this accessible. So piece of paper, we're going to make a square. It's very simple, but it's worth doing as always. The basis is simple, but there's always lots of detail within it. So I'm going to take the edge and fold it in a straight line. And I think even though you may feel, God, I've done this loads of times, that's the joy of origami, is that familiarity. It makes it quite comforting too. At some point, I must show you, some of you may not yet have done the origami cranes, the classic thing to make. And the classic thing is to make 1,000 of them. So it's really enjoying the repetition, that being quite therapeutic. So I've done it nice and carefully, good strong lines. We're going to get rid of this strip. For this one, actually, we're going to end up using a rectangle, but we need to start from a square. So again, I'm sort of lining it up like so. Good strong fold. That will mean that you can just tear it off. You could use a ruler or a knife, but again, I like showing from basic principles. So tearing that off. And so Stephen, who's joined us, he's from the British Origami Society, and I'm very proud to be a member. And they do lots of great live events, so many amazing things that they do. I thoroughly recommend checking out their Facebook group, their website. There we go. So next we're going to make, so far it's a square, we're going to make it into a rectangle, and actually this diagonal line will be useful. So just folding it in half. I'm taking my time because for lots of you this is all new, but I think what I encourage you to do, even if it's not new, take your time. That's what's relaxing. There we go. And I'm going to now tear this to make a rectangle. And so, yes, I normally work in a hospital, and I've been doing my best UCH to do some sessions for my colleagues. And it's a bit hard working from home, but in some ways it allows you to be a lot more flexible. I can offer my services at any time. And yeah, I've run group sessions as well through this sort of thing. So what we're going to do next, maybe turn it over to this. We're going to do a sort of cross at both ends. If you're making a frog, it's also a bit like this too. So we're going to do a cross at both ends just to show you the general principle. Now we've already got a line there, so we can take the other end. It doesn't matter which order you do this, but it's kind of just lining it up nice and carefully, and it gives it that nice strong line. That's great. Yeah, so I've been able to work with groups of colleagues, and they're all on their individual monitors or phones, and you can have a group session together because we're all missing that time together, aren't we? So I've done one cross at that end. Might as well leave that closed. It'll help guide me. And then the other end, again, taking it and folding it. So I'm imagining, Kay, you've got some nice papers, haven't you? You've recently got some nice papers. Whether this will be rather nice, because actually the sort of flower which develops will be a slightly different colour, which is rather nice. But I'm showing you with white because this is something we'll have around, but actually I think it shows up better on a camera. Excellent, you have got some nice papers. Yeah, so if you've got the two-sided, it would be rather cool. I've also been enjoying playing around with patterns of making what you can do with a few of these hearts. Opening it up, and then again, the other end. So we're just doing a kind of cross at each end. Oh, I saw someone's joined me. So if you have only just joined, what I'd recommend to do is make a square. And then I made, oh, hello. Yes. Lovely to see you too. Thank you for joining us. So what I did was made a square, then I folded it in half as a triangle, and then we're doing a sort of a fold at each end, a little cross at both ends. So it should look like this. I mean, I already find this such a beautiful structure, isn't it lovely? So our next step is, so you folded those in, turn it to the other side, and we're going to do a vertical line right through the middle of those crosses. So it's quite easy just to take it and pop it to the end of that cross. So it's funny, it's been so sunny and so summery, and now we're doing a summer fold. I thought it's gone quite dark and grey outside and a bit cold. And then the bottom end, the same thing, folding it up, aiming for the top there of your cross. You'd have to do this on the surface. So hopefully it's looking like that. Again, these are all lovely patterns. I'm sure there's so many other things you could do with this as well. So if you open this up, and I recommend putting your finger just underneath the middle of that cross, pushing it up, and it pops up and it becomes three-dimensional. Nice little pop. So hopefully it looks like that. So now you can turn it over. Do shout if you're not following or I need to show anything again, because there's nothing worse than being left behind, because it all builds on each other, doesn't it? So don't be shy, do shout if it's not working. Right, so our next step is just to close it up. So you should be able to sort of push the sides in and push it closed like that. Also three-dimensional, isn't it? And then the same from this end, pushing in the sides and pushing it down like so. So there we go. Right, our next step, hope you're keeping up with me, is to take a corner and bring it down to the tip of the square. So it's one of those corners, folding it down. And you're going to do this on each of those, for each of those tips. So into that triangle, bringing it down. And if any of you have made the chrysanthemum, I guess that was a few weeks ago. Yeah, I'm not sure whether this is the 10th or the 11th fold. I must line them all up. I thought it'd be almost a nice calendar. I initially thought, wouldn't it be great to put marks on a wall like we're in prison with lockdown? But I think probably origami a week is a much sort of gentler way to symbolise the passing of time. Again, take the corner, bring it up to the top sense as well. Yeah, it's got a base of 4. I can imagine this already. This could be a little tortoise, couldn't it? Yes, I can see that. You can see it could also be the frog quite easily too. But this is the base for it so far. Is everyone keeping up with this? Please do say if you're not, because I can go back a few steps and explain. And you won't be alone, I'm sure. So I'm going to assume that you're keeping up, unless you shout otherwise. Please do. Each of these is a little pocket, so you should be able to put your finger in and squash it down to be able to make a square. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. It's very interesting. I've been learning to do origami while looking at this in the computer. So it's amazing what your brain can do, isn't it? Again, put your finger in and squash it to be able to make a square. So I'm sort of doing this back to front, kind of upside down. There we go. So each of these I'm turning into a little square. I played around. If you use Twitter, I quite often like to document all the different steps of making a piece, because actually if you do a few together you can start forming gorgeous patterns of them, just for like a little dance and different emerging patterns. And there we go. And then just one more side here, so a little pocket there, and then brushing it up, and we've made a nice little square. Hope you're all keeping well. She says, clearing her throat. I haven't got a cough or anything. I'm absolutely fine. Yeah, I hope you've all been well during this time. We take nothing for granted now, do we? So our next step, hopefully, is looking something like that. Might look slightly off, but not too bad. I think with origami, try and be as correct as you can. But I think there's with everything, you have to be a bit forgiving as well. Don't be too hard. I always encourage people to do, when they're doing their first one, consider it a draft, and you're going to build on that. So the side here, our next step is to take the side and fold it in a straight line, like so. Do you see? And it needs to be coming from the middle. If you did it from the other end, later on it won't be able to open up. So again, taking the side and folding it to the middle. Natalie, it was amazing to see your bunch of flowers that you did for someone special. That was such a love, so beautiful to see. And that was the first thing I was taught, actually, to make those traditional lilies, which was not a simple thing to start with, but in many ways I think it kind of yeah, I just had to learn the hard way, and it was just a fantastic thing to do. I'm going to do this on each end, but most of all, it's a beautiful thing to be able to make for others, to make a bunch of flowers, lasting flowers. I'm sure it's gone down well, and they will last for a long time. So keep doing this, and each time it's from the center, that bend. And Kay, I was seeing your amazing folds as well. It's been so lovely. Very neat too, I think. For those of us who like doing things well, I think origami really fits, doesn't it? I do see this as it really is a mixture of science and art. Natalie, oh, love making them. Well done. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, do make yourself a bunch. I was glad that I made myself a bunch, and I've still got them, as I said, about 8 years later. Sorry, my phone beeping away in the background. I should have removed that. Remove all distractions. And then this bottom square as well. Slowly working around this one. Yeah. Here we go. And with the flowers, you can do like a range of different sizes, different papers, different stems. So hopefully it's looking like that. I mean, that's already a beautiful thing too, isn't it? So if you've made the chrysanthemum before, this will feel quite familiar. But again, we've got these little tiny sort of pouches there. You can put your finger in and then squash it down and keep it in a nice straight line. Excellent. And Natalie, you must have found after doing all those flowers that you're beginning to remember it, maybe. You must have done a little bit. I think the thing with learning origami, it really is repetition. With time, it gets easier. I don't know if you find that, Stephen, what you must have been doing for so long, whereas for me, it's still relatively recent. Yes, all right, you have been remembering. That's fantastic. That is such a good skill to have for flowers. You will always make people happy if you can make them a bunch of flowers. There we go. I mean, use this time to do some new things, and it's quite easy. The time just passes. If you've actually learned some new skills during this time, it'll make you feel better, won't it? Use time as an opportunity. It's what I see from patients. None of us should be taking time for granted. To some extent, we do need the time to pass, but it would be nice to have done something with it. There we go. So each of these, and it starts to open up into a nice little circle. So I'm imagining, Kay, if you've been using two-sided paper, this will be really nice because this inside bit of the flower will be a different colour. Yeah. Also, sometimes I've ended up colouring them too, so you can colour the different layers. That's quite nice. You do need a little bit of a nail, don't you, for these? A little bit tricky to get into them. That's it. Hope yours are opening up nicely. Oh, it's nice to have a little Wednesday group. I've seen it keeps on trending. Wellbeing Wednesdays. So I think you're taking part in a Wellbeing Wednesday event. There we go. And actually, I used to try to do things in the hospital on a Wednesday for a group of us. There we go. So I hope it's kind of worked out like that. I don't know whether you can see where the heart's going to come from. It's so incredibly easy where the heart comes from. It's almost incredibly surprising. Sometimes people go like that and go, is it that way? No, all you need to do is take the top and just fold it back. You just fold it back, and it's, as you can see, it's already forming a heart. Yay. Generally takes me dozens before I've learned something. Yes, after that, I just need to fold the model every so often. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's what I find, Stephen. Actually, I've possibly got a bit better than a dozen times. I have found I can now sit there imagining it, which is something very new for me. I've not had that before. It's as if you really have changed a bit of your brain, so it's set up for origami. But it is about practice, and I completely agree. You do need to practice it every so often. So our next step is simply to fold the side in. I haven't found, I don't know if Stephen, whether you've got an idea of folding it away more neatly than just tucking it away at the back. Amy, that last bit is challenging. It's changing it into the heart. It's so satisfying. I agree. It really is, isn't it? Just flip. And it's not as obvious as you think, is it? Just that one step, and it's changed everything, and it's become a heart. Oh, it's lovely to see you too, Amy. Obviously, I can't see you, but you can see what I'm doing here. And it's so lovely to do this together. Has it all worked for you? Is there anybody who needs me to go back any steps and to show anything? Because I don't want to leave anybody behind. If we were in a group, I'd be seeing what's going on. But hopefully this is quite a good, clear way of showing you, isn't it? I think during the daytime is definitely better for light. I've got this quite nice sideways light, which I think shows things up quite well. So I hope, have you all managed to do it? Make your hearts. And they can start to form nice little patterns together. I think Amy's been playing with that, haven't you, as well? You can start to form really nice emerging patterns, quite nice groups of 4 of these things, or different. Or if, as I was saying, if you've got different sort of coloured two-tone paper, then you've got different circles appearing. I'll share mine later on Twitter. Thank you. Yes, so my Twitter is Dr. Lizzie Burns, and there's the Facebook group. Love to see what you've made. It really is lovely to see that we're doing things together, and do encourage others as well, family and friends. The more we can do things together, the better. It's about the only way that we can be together, isn't it? Really, in this safe way. Amy, they fit together over that very effectively. I agree. They really do, don't they? So keep experimenting and enjoying. As I said, I just love all the steps to these things. And I'll have a think for next week. If anybody's got any special requests, do pipe up. And with time, I'm going to have to probably start learning some new things too myself. But I hope you have a good rest of your week. You've kind of made it halfway through the week. And and I'll think of another fold for next week. And the British Origami Society are doing lots of things too, so do check out their Facebook group. I don't know, Stephen, whether there's a kind of a way that you say when the next events are coming up. For some reason I haven't quite noticed how to do that, but it must be there. So there's also some folds that you can do there. And to be honest, I've learned just so much on YouTube, so if there's something you want to make out of origami, someone will have shown you. But I thought I'm not really adding anything particularly new in that way. But I thought most of all, I'm trying to offer you this time of being together as a group together. So I hope that's been nice. Yeah, happy Wednesday to you, Amy, and to everybody else. And have a lovely rest of your week. Take care. Enjoy the hearts. You can start hanging them up, bringing a bit of colour. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.